Hello everybody, welcome to a very different type of video for me. This is going to be probably the closest you'll get to real consumer journalism on this channel. Over the next week, I'm going to be living with a very unusual car. Now, let me set the scene for you so you can get the fullest picture. 2 months ago, I was invited by Kia to attend one of their press launches. They had a few cars on offer. You'll have seen a couple of the reviews already. You won't have seen one of them, I think. Anyway, before then, I'd never even driven a Kia. To be honest, I had no real interest in them. It wasn't a car brand I really had anything bad to say about, but also it was a car brand I didn't have anything good to say about either. So it was just a neutral thing for me. And I think most people in England are kind of the same. You know, most people know about a Kia really is they've got a really long warranty. That's about it. So anyway, went on this press launch, was really impressed by the Stinger. Actually didn't even mind their 4x4 type thing, and their little Picanto was quite cute. So I was chatting with their PR marketing guy at the time, and he said, hey, look, we've got a big press garage hidden in deepest, darkest England where we've got basically one of everything. Why don't you come down sometime and, you know, try some different cars? There's no filming going on. Just come in, just test the range, see what you think. I said, okay, cool, that sounds great. That's really kind of you. So I organised a day to go down, and then the lady down there, Lauren, hi Lauren if you're watching, she said, oh, what do you want to drive? And I thought, shit, I don't know. I've already driven the Stinger, which is the main thing I wanted to drive. So they have something called the Seed GT, and there's another version called the Pro Seed, which I think is 5 doors. And I thought that'd be worth a go. And I was like, well, okay, well, I'll try that. And I drove that, and it was fine. It was okay. It's nothing really remarkable. But I also noticed they make an electric car. Now, I've driven a few hybrids and come away kind of nonplussed by them, but I've never, ever driven a fully electric car. So I had a brief go in this car. Perfectly pleasant, actually. It was okay. It was fine. I took it on a very short journey. I said, this is all wonderful and good. And I said, you know what I'd really love, though? And I didn't think they'd agree to it. I said, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to do a piece with me, obviously, with this car, with this electric car, for a week. Because I live in, well, middle of nowhere. And basically, you know, there's not really even town for, you know, miles around. And, you know, this is a very reasonably priced. It's kind of like an averagely priced electric car. It's not a Tesla. Yeah, I'm sure if I had a week with a Tesla at like 100 odd grand, I'm sure that would be wonderful and fantastic. And I'd say, oh, electric cars are the future. They're brilliant. But electric reality for most people is not a P100D ludicrous mode equipped Tesla Model S. No, this thing over here is electric reality for people. So a few hours ago, this little baby got dropped off, and this video is going to be my experiences over a week of trying to live with an electric car. So, without further mumbling, let me show you the beastie. There you go. It is a Kia Soul EV. Now, I want to say a couple of things to start off with. I mean, the first thing that I really want to say is a big thank you to Kia for actually agreeing to do this and being very good sports and sending it down. The second thing I want to do is apologise to Kia for what I'm about to say. This thing is horrendously ugly. It's hideous. It's part of this sort of new school of thought where they're trying to make small cars look big, but they're actually still kind of small. It's the whole faux SUV type thing, and it's been deliberately styled to try and be funky. I don't like that. Now I've got a new piece of film kit, which is a slider, which is what lets you see this nice little shot here? That's done on a slider, okay? It's like a 1 meter piece of railway track for your camera, basically. I can get that in the Evora really easy. It's a real struggle getting it in here. Okay, that's not right. Now, I'll show you around because, you know, I'm going to assume this thing's as new to you guys as it is to me. Quoted range on this is about 155 miles. Now, that's from the NEDC cycle, which seems to be, every car manufacturer that I've spoken to, NEDC seems to be a work of fiction. Let's just put it that way. I mean, this car has been on charge all night, okay? I'll get onto this interior in a second. But first, this car, I left it charging. So I gave it a fast charge yesterday. and then overnight it was plugged into my house, which is not very far away from here at all, and I've probably done about a mile or something. It says it's got 109 miles in it. So 109 miles is quite an awkward range for me. So the first test of this vehicle was I took my mother out to lunch. Now that involved going from where I live to where my mother lives, over then to Cambridge. Now the problem was that it's pretty much 100 miles. And obviously, I didn't really fancy chancing this, running out. I mean, crikey, if I run out of power somewhere, it's not like I can call the AA and they can come and bring me some electricity. So that was interesting. Now, it led to a bit of a humorous encounter because I wound up going to a Nissan garage. So when you've got the car, when you start running low, it'll pester you. I mean, quite annoyingly as well. It goes beep, 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 beep. I mean, literally, it comes up and says your charge is low, and okay. I mean, I already had a charging station set in the sat-nav, but it still came up telling me you need to charge every 2 minutes. Really, really frustrating. If I've already got a destination programmed in that's a charging point, don't keep hassling me. I know, I can see, I've got a screen here, and you don't need to keep beeping it here as well. I know that I'm, cars with petrol in don't do that. You get a light that comes up, says you're running out of fuel, put some in. It doesn't every 2 minutes go, are you under a petrol station yet? So this screen is something that I believe is new for the Soul EV. It's actually a really good screen. It's really easy to view. It's super responsive as well. I mean, this is one of the most responsive touchscreens I've used. It's really, really good. So that's a big, big plus point for Kia there. So your nav system, literally, you can find a charging station. And to give you a rough idea, okay, so I'm near my home. There isn't a charging station, according to this car, for nearly 12 miles. That's not great. And yeah, it tries to take you to Nissan garages. So I went to a Nissan garage in Bury St Edmunds. I really want to give them a big shout out. It was Hammond of Bury St Edmunds. They were really, really good sports. It turns out that they actually shouldn't really be charging a non-Nissan product, but they were super nice, and they put the car in their fast charging station. So that's quite handy. I mean, if you live next door to a Nissan dealership, that's great. I don't know if Kia have the same thing. Certainly, my local Kia dealership is not turning up in the sat-nav, so I can only assume that means that they don't have a charging station there. Now, how do you charge the car? So this car got dropped off with basically, no instructions really. It was literally dropped off like any other car, which is good. Now, I really, really, really want to stress the fact that I pretty much deliberately wanted a car like this. It's a very ordinary, very plain car as electric cars go. It's also a bit of an oddity because this was obviously not designed as an electric car. The Soul existed before, and they've made an electric car out of it. So that obviously presents them with a bit of a challenge because you're converting a car that's not meant for it. I mean, in particular, look at the looks of the things. A lot of electric cars now, one of the benefits of an electric car is, of course, you don't really need much airflow going into the car because you don't need to cool too much. Certainly, you don't need to feed it with the amount of air that you need to feed a combustion engine. And so they've got very small fronts. I mean, look at a Tesla. It's got a very, very small frontal area, and that really helps aerodynamics. This thing is about as aerodynamic as a garden shed. I don't think that really helps it when you're up at sort of 70 miles an hour on the motorway and so on. Now, 3 ways to charge. I decided it would be wise to do a little bit of research before I got the car about how you go about charging it. Typically, there's a few different ways you can do this. Most annoyingly, so there's obviously public charging points all over the country. They're on different networks. So I signed up for one called Polar, and that means you get a little credit card size thing, which is an RFID card. So probably later today or tomorrow, I'm going to go to a Polar charging station, and the idea is I should just be able to tap my card on and plug in. Now, I've downloaded an app for my phone called ZapMap, and that basically shows you where all your electric car charging stations are. But there's 3 different ways you can charge the car, so let me talk you through those. Now, the actual mechanics of getting it charged is fairly simple. So you'll see there is a button down here. If it ever decides to focus on it. Oh, nearer. Come on. I know you can do it. Come on, camera. Find the motivation. Yeah, technology sometimes it just doesn't like it. Okay, see this button? There we go. Right. Yeah, Kias, they're very cheery. Really, really cheery. I don't know why. So, around the front, you'll now see this little port at the front has opened. This is the easiest way to identify the fact this is an electric car. You've got funky wheels on the side, which I think look a bit sketchy. And you've got two sockets here. Okay, so this is pretty much the slow or medium charging socket, whatever you want to call it. And this is the fast charging socket. Of course, it would be too easy to have one charging standard, wouldn't it, for everything? I mean, you know, why not make adoption of electric cars difficult while we can? This big one is called a Shademo or a Kademo or a Kadimo, or it's something. Anyway, apparently it's quite popular with some of the Asian car manufacturers. So the Nissan Leaf uses the same type of port. Now, in the back here, I've got a load of film kit, so you can see that the car isn't really super spacious in the back. So, drag out a bit of my kit. Of course, I've put in an extension cord because I think really that's a pretty essential piece of kit. I mean, the good news is that, you know, if you're really, really stuck, technically, any way you can get access to an ordinary household socket, you can get some power. However, it will take a long time to give your car any meaningful charge using that. Now, in the back here, so in here you have the 13 amp charger. This is then the sort of medium speed charge. So this will charge at something like, it's 2.3 kilowatts, I believe. So it's 230 volt, 10 amps, so it's 2.3 kilowatts. And if the battery pack is, I don't even know. Basically, it takes about 10 to 12 hours to charge fully off that. Now, this is then kind of your medium speed charger. So this will then plug into the car. So they're different on each end. So that's one end. Yeah, it will cover back up. And then this is the other. So this is another standard. Now, when you go on the ZapMap app, it will show you what type of charger. So I think this is for like a 32 amp socket or something along those lines. So this delivers about 7 kilowatts. So roughly triple what you'll get out of the home socket. Now the Shademo charger, now you don't actually have a cable for those because it's basically part of the charging station. So you know, just like a petrol pump, it's just there and you just plug it in. Now those are, they're 50 kilowatt chargers. Put that into context, by the way, in case you're curious. A Tesla supercharger is 120 kilowatts. So the Tesla superchargers are a lot meatier, but also Teslas have much bigger batteries. So obviously that's then going to take, you know, still a similar amount of time. Now, official figures, if you plug this into the fast charger, half an hour you get to 80% charge. So that's not horrendous, although it is slightly annoying when that's like every 100 miles. I think really this is designed as like a city car, or for someone, if your daily commute is something like, you know, 30-40 miles, something like that, this will be ideal because you're never really going to worry about it because you'll just, you know, provided you've got the facilities, of course, to charge at home, which not everybody has. You know, in England, anyone that lives in a city, kind of unlikely that you've got the ability to not just park your car outside, but park your car and drag a cable to it. Now, the benefit of me living in the sticks is that I can drag a cable to my car, which is convenient. So, and the cable also gets locked. When you lock the car, the cable gets locked, so someone can't just come and unplug your car, because that's something I think people sort of talk about and, you know, mention. So that can't happen. But this car's clearly designed for people that need to use it for just short journeys and things. So I'm now going to take it out on the road and, yeah, continue the vlog. By the way, this is going to be a long video, so, you know, make a cup of tea or something. So let's carry on.